Okay, so let's get started. Um, in today's morning, like we have discussed about artificial intelligence and uh, the significance of it. So, significance of artificial intelligence and the building blocks. How can we build AI system? What are the components of it? And few examples around various use cases and industry-wise and society. A specific problem and the core concept, our core objective that we are looking for today is climate change, right? So in this session, we'll be learning about what is climate change and how analytics and AI can help in terms of mitigating climate change and assessing various impact that is caused by climate change, right? So first of all, we need to understand what is climate, because we usually have a confusion around what is climate, what is weather, what is like a temperature, those kind of things, right? So climate is actually one second. Yeah, cool. So first we need to know about what is climate. So climate is nothing but it is a weather related measurement which is for a particular location and a time period. So when I say climate, it is actually a time and a location bounded. It's not the climate will not be same for all the geographical area, and also the climate will not in there will be a lot of um, uh, it will be like very in the another year will not be getting it, will be facing a lot of heat. That no, it will be a patterned manner so that every year and for a location, for a given location, that environmental surroundings will be the same, right? But the problem here is there is a shift in temperature or weather pattern, which means climate change refers to a long-term shift. It's not a very short-term one. Like last year, suddenly we got like extra rain in May, but this year it's not happening. That short-term change doesn't mean that climate change. That might be because of some other weather-related impact. Like there are a lot of weather-related effects or phenomena are happening due to the El Nino effect. Only we got a lot of rain in 2015 that causes the flood, right? So that's not like that's also part of climate change, but that's not a big one. But the impactful one or the like concerning one is the long term shift, which means like last year. It's not last year, last decade, or when your mom and dads are children. That time there was no like a heavy flood in the month of October or November, but these days are happening. It is because of some environmental changes which triggered the climate change due to some other like solar cycle variation in solar cycle. So those kind of things are all called as climate change. So according to UN, climate change refers to the long-term shift in temperatures, weather pattern. This shift is actually maybe a natural one. Natural one is possible, such as through variation solar cycle, because which is not man-made or because of any human intervention, human like activities. Right? But since 1800s, human activities have been the main driver for the climate change, primarily due to burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. Right? Because like in 1800, like post 1800, only like world has seen lot of industrial revolution 0, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now we are at industrial revolution 4.0. Right? In that case, like from the invention of like a steam engine, post that like we were get into like a coal based energy consumption, and then oil and the gas consumption, and which made like a lot of greenhouse gases emission. Because of that, like that greenhouse effect makes the like a global warming, and again the parallelly a lot of climate related shift happens, right? So this is completely man-made post 1800. So at the end of the day, like climate change has a lot of implications on each and every part of the world. Uh, uh, Before getting into that, like let's just have a look into what is the difference between global warming and climate change. So global warming is just a temperature increase, like uh, the the average temperature increase in the atmosphere. It will be like a 1%, 0%, 0.5 percentage. Like it will be very minimal in terms of the quantum, but the effect will be very high. It will lead to glaciers melting. It will lead to like sudden change in like a sudden drought might happen in one particular place, and in another particular place like a flood can happen, right? It is all because of increased levels of carbon dioxide, CFCs, chlorofluorocarbon, and like other pollutants, right? Others, it actually like global warming is completely because of human expansion of greenhouse effect. It is not due to some other things, because climate change can happen naturally sometimes, but global warming is purely because of human activities such as like emission of greenhouse effect gases, right? Increases of earth's average temperature is the main problem here, and that lead to worldwide phenomenon, right? So global warming is like for everyone.
Prabhakaran sir,
Yeah.
sir, your
Yeah,
screen is
hello.
not your screen not visible, sir. Please to check your screen
Okay,
share.
I'll change. Okay, cool. Is it visible now?
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So we are discussing now about global warming and climate change. So global warming is a worldwide phenomena. It is not only for like it is not only a dangerous one for like Chennai or the India or Tamil Nadu. It is actually for everyone in this world. But climate change is like for like a particular region might face the climate like a change in a particular like climate pattern. Like from the mid to late 20th century onwards, and attributed largely to the increased levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide produced by the like extensive use of fossil fuels. So it is actually due to global warming also. So global warming causes climate changes, and that it's not just because of global warming. There are other like weather phenomenon also causing climate change. It includes increasing in temperature and also changes in wind and precipitation, because sometimes it's not just like we are feeling very hot in a certain region, right? It is also feeling like very windy, or some sudden storms can happen, or hurricanes can hit because of the weather pattern changes, right? It's the global change can be considered as in both ways. One is global level problem, and another one is regional problem. When I say regional problem, that you can easily uh, see in certain tropical countries, or even in like North Atlantic region, where you can see because of global warming, that particular region might face a problem. That is one thing. And another one thing, in the last month, when you, if you could remember, or if you could check, there is a report saying that like the whole Southeast Asia has seen like a lot of like peak temperature, like it was around like 46 degrees Celsius, when the rest of the world didn't face that problem. That is because of rapid industrialization happening in developing countries like South Asian countries like India, like Myanmar, Bangladesh, Pakistan kind of countries. And the problem is when Western countries are mitigating the climate change problem by like having a lot of policies, by having a lot of restrictions inside their country. But India kind of like countries like India, Bangladesh, like Myanmar, they are still on developing mode, so they are not concentrating more on climate change policies, even though they have in place, but they are not like, enforcing it in place, right? So that's the regional based climate change. So first of all, we need to know about like what is the impact of it, because if the impact is not significant, we don't need to worry about climate change. But the problem is like the impact of climate change is like very complex, and it is actually like hitting everyone in the world, right? So one thing is like when we say like impact of climate change, that is because of the high temperature rise, right? If the temperature is rising to like 1 degree Celsius, it may not like impact the human beings in the land. But the problem is like by just a 1 degree Celsius of like an increase in temperature might cause the aquatic organs, aquatic living organisms, which is like a coral reefs, or even like water water living animals like fishes, tortoise, turtles, other North Atlantic or Antarctic region animals like polar bear and all. Because they were not able to like animals were not able to like they are facing a lot of issues in terms of like temperature rise in the ocean. That's one thing. When 2 degrees Celsius are like when we have the temperature rise around 2 degrees Celsius or more than that, it will actually impact the water supply, like groundwater levels, and for a lot of forest fire will happen, and glaciers will start melting, right? And that is one sort of one known fact that like for the next 100 years, this is going to happen. That is one thing. And because of global warming, uh, actually because of global warming or any sort of climate change, it will start the mutations in microorganisms, and also some insects, or even like the behavior of animals, right? That will actually create the zoononyms, which is like animal or other uh, like bacteria or virus borne diseases. So that's actually a worrying thing. Here also you can like a COVID, which is SARS-CoV coronavirus, may be caused due to the sudden mutation happened in any sort of like SARS virus. That is also a possible one. And another one thing is like due to higher global warming and higher flood, or in some sudden areas like can face the drought. Because of that, refugees, like the whole economy will get into trouble. So a lot of things are there in terms of GDP of that country. If that particular country face GDP related issues, obviously that will like impact its international relationships, and that may cause the war also, right? In a single line, climate change has its roots everywhere, based on the quantum of the climate change. It will cause the small organisms to the worldwide like economy. So this is what the impact of climate change. And if we want to like look into the social and economic impact of climate change, one is like the cost of adapting coastal areas will be like very high. The reason is like when climate change happen, coastal areas will face a lot of issues because the rainfall or the precipitation and the humidity will be like will be at the very worsened state in the coastal areas, and rising ocean level will hit the ocean areas only first, and loss of capacity to work in the due to heat. That's the obvious thing that we are facing every day, even in not even in the rural areas, in the cosmopolitan areas, yes, especially in Chennai kind of like localities. It will be very depressing one to go to office in the month of April, May, even March, April, May, and it will be like highly demotivating thing for like two-wheelers, right? And more wars to gain access to the limited resources. That's obvious because like when world faces a drought or excessive flood, like a certain range, certain regions of world faces, that will actually causes the situation to war, because wars are actually for like grabbing the limited resources only. Likewise, we have a lot of difficulties, a lot of complications going to happen in the increase in climate change. So here we have some facts that I've gotten through United Nations World Health Organization. So which is related to the public health. When we say health, it is actually a public health, because if only one person or two-person is getting some issue because of some sudden change in climate, that's mostly an allergic thing, or else due to the climate change, usually we get like a nausea or flu kind of problem. But when the whole public ecosystem or the community of people are getting some problems due to the climate change, that is actually a concerning one. So climate change affects the social and environmental determinants of health. First and foremost thing is like the clean air, safe drinking water, and sufficient food. So these three things are like air, water, and food. These three things are going to be affected, and that is being affected. It's not like the futuristic one. In the present itself, at the present itself, we are facing that issues. If you look into African countries, they are actually facing a lot of drought, which means like quality food related issues due to Ukraine and Russian war, and also due to the climate change that actually hitting a lot in the tropical countries, which is African countries. And between 2030 to 2050, climate change is expected to cause approximately 250k additional deaths per year. It may be because of malnutrition, malaria, diarrhea, and heat stress. So in India, we are concerning more about mitigating floods during the monsoon season, but we are not taking care of increasing heat or mitigating the summer. Right? That is also a natural calamity. Increase in temperature, 1 degree or 0.5 degree temperature across the country is actually a natural calamity. Because of that, like you could see, many people are dying, especially in Andhra, Telangana region, right? And direct damage caused to health, uh, it's estimated to be between 2 to 4 billion per year. It is going to be like at most like a budget of a particular state, a well-grown state, right? And areas with weak health infrastructure, mostly in developing countries, will be least able to cope up without assistance to prepare and respond. So India might face it. The reason is like if I say, like when I say India, it's not like the whole India. It is like a certain states which doesn't have enough health infrastructure. Um, um, and reducing emissions of greenhouse gases through better transport, food, energy use choices can result in improved health, particularly through reduced air pollution. So this is going to be like a important thing, and everyone should get adapted to that, because like the next decade or the mid of this decade, like from the 2025, we might start using a lot of green energy only. Even like in Japan, they have completely moved to utilizing like as much as possible of green energy. They already started setting up like a lot of wind panel, like windmills, solar panel related energies. So they started relying on that from the Fukushima or like the tsunami they faced. They've changed the policy. The same way, the developing countries should also accommodate that, because right now many developing countries are again getting into coal-based energy generation, right? The impact of climate change on health is actually starting from various indirect impact of climate. The one is wildfires. So you would have seen that U.S. Few of the forests in U.S. and South American region and Australia had seen wildfires last few couple of couple of quarters back, I guess, and increased rainfall hit American cities, even in Bangalore had seen that issue. Storms, drought, and sea level rise, heat waves. Heat waves is actually an unaddressed problem. People are concerning more about rain, but not about the heat waves. But that should also be concerned, right? When we have these kind of indirect environmental or natural calamities, that is actually impacting on health issues by creating a new waterborne diseases or vector-borne diseases, which is a kind of insects related issue or insect-borne diseases. And respiratory conditions, obviously that is a major one, and forced migration due to the drought, and cardiovascular diseases, chronic kidney disease. So when we have a drought, obviously that will actually impact on the quality of the soil. When the quality of the soil is went very bad, that will impact on the groundwater level. And most of the countries are still relying on most of the countries are still relying on can you please go on mute? Yeah, they're mostly relying on. Can you please go on mute? Okay, so when many countries or regions are relying on groundwater level, due to the drought, the groundwater level will be reduced, as well as the quality of the groundwater level will also get spoiled. And when we have very bad water, when we have the water without a proper quality, that will actually implicate kidney related issues, which is chronic in nature, which is for a long term we'll be facing that issue, right? So these are the common health related implications that we are facing due to the climate, but which is still being which is most of these issues are not being addressed properly. That is due to the misgovernance, and there is no SOP in place to collect the data, because when we say these are all our intuitions, our hypothesis. When seawater level rises, or when a drought increases, that will impact the groundwater level quality, because the soil quality will go low, and also when the seawater level increases, the intrusion of seawater will get into a groundwater, right? So that will actually increase the salt level or salt content in the water. So these are all the causal or intuition based assumptions, but we need to build an analytics framework or some SOP, so that we can collect the data, and we can perform the experiment, and we can measure the impact, right? So that will create that will lead to two things. One is an awareness, and another one is the policy change, right? So due to the climate change, there are few sectors of community are vulnerable. The one is demographic factors. A few factors are vulnerable factors. One is demographic factors, geographical factors, biological and health status, socio-political conditions, and socio-economic conditions. So all these factors are going to be impacted. When I say socio-economic factors, due to the drought, obviously GDP can get reduced. Because of that, like socio-political conditions will arise, which is like internal problems in that country. And obviously, when we have like climate change, as I said before, biological changes will also happen. So that biological changes can happen in a certain like animals, and that will lead to a like a epidemic or pandemic situation, right? And because of that, as I said, like water quality, quantity will get reduced, food security and safety will get reduced, vector distribution will be increased, which means like a bacteria kind of bacteria or a contingency of bacteria, virus kind of microorganisms will be like will be increased. And obviously, because of these two things, one is like vulnerable factors and exposure pathways that will hit the health system's capacity and resilience, right? Because in many states, like the number of doctors per 100 patients are very less when it compared to Tamil Nadu, are like well-developed states of India, right? So in that case, when we start facing these kind of issues like airborne disease or waterborne disease, our health system might not be able to like handle it in a better way, right? So here we have list of health sensitive climate sensitive health risk, as we said, like in the previous thing itself. Like we have like respiratory issues, heat related illness, and synonyms, and we have insect borne disease. The agriculture might face a lot of issues in terms of like uncertain drought or uncertain flood in a like random months, right? So to do that, we would need an SOP, right? For that, we need a like analytics and problem solving framework in nature, right? Which should concentrate more on these points. One is data collection and experimentation design, because in the previous session, in artificial intelligence session, we talked about like big data architecture and collecting data from like various touch points. But here, the data cannot be directly collected. We need to make some surveys. We need to utilize the government machineries to get the data. The reason is like we can easily collect the climate change related data from meteorological stations and other satellite related data points. But to measure the impact on it, we would need to collect it from many resources like socioeconomic factors, or like for a particular region, what is the cause of death, what are the different types of diseases started spreading. Likewise, we need to have experimentation design in place, and then we should be having a well-equipped statistical and causal analysis methodology in place. So whatever we are discussing today will be a broader perspective. We can try to understand it, and we can try to replicate the existing reports, because with the current setup that we have in our colleges, we might not be able to come up with the exact insights that we want, because for that we would need sophisticated experimentation design, then data collection, then we would need like a lot of statistical testing and measurement, right? So for that, instead of going in depth, because that will take more time and material, but a lot of organizations, a lot of government machineries have done that. They have health tracking mechanism. They have like a lot of statistical sample surveys in place. By accessing that, accessing to that collected data, we can draw insights from it. And parallelly, we can climate analytics concentrate on systems modeling and simulations also. It is not only just predicting something or analyzing something, it is also simulate, model the whole environment, saying that if we increase the carbon emission by 1%, what will be the implications of it? Or if we do some sort of policy change, what will be the implications of pandemic? Right? That those kind of things needs to be simulated and understood, right? And so these three things are like enabling our understanding the system better, the whole climate change or environment better. And with the help of machine learning, we'll be able to easily identify the changes in climate and also predict the future also, right? Machine learning, probabilistic modeling, computer vision. You can ask, why do we need computer vision? Because the worldwide, we are equipped with the satellites, and satellites are able to capture the weather patterns, right? So with the help of computer vision, we'll be able to identify the anomalies in the weather pattern and the climate change, right? That's why we need deep learning and computer vision related stuff, right? The natural language processing is not at all needed here in terms of understanding the climate change and analytics, right? So here we have a functional framework for a climate analytics, which comprises like two things. One is bridging the collected data to the application areas, and another one is value creation. I think one is like we can observe and monitor the one is we can observe and monitor the climate change, and another one is we can understand it in a particular region, and then we can predict what if I do for a particular stuff, what will happen, and we can optimize it. So optimization is nothing but like it's kind of a policy change that you can create, right? And then the applications are across many places. One is like efficiently planning the energy, like energy generation, and another one is like agriculture. So then we have natural disaster and disease assessment, and we have sustainable urban planning. Because when we right now everyone is moving towards industrialization and urbanization. So when we start doing like extensive urbanization, we should also consider having a policy to like balancing that. Because when we start putting a lot of concrete roads, that will impact on like a groundwater level. So to do that, we need to start enforce people to follow rainwater harvesting as a like a compulsory one. The same way that the enforcement to the water processing from the industries or organizations are, and handling the bio waste instead of just like dumping it into like a forest area, or even in the if you check Chennai, there is a place called Perugudi. There you can see acres of plastic dumps, right? And sudden fire happen, and that will cause the lot of issues. And even if you check last week, the lake Pallikarnai reservoir lake got like pink in color. That is due to some unwanted mutation happened in the like bacterial colony there, right? So those kind of things are happening. So to mitigate that, there should be the continuous loop between observing that thing and also optimizing our policies towards handling that scenario in a very well manner, right? So to do that, we need three segments of solution. One is like a relevant digital adoption. That is one thing, and another one thing is like a spatial, which is nothing but having everything connected together, and also location-based data collection. Physical assets and their context can be mapped together. And digital platforms, you always know that, like, which is the big data architecture, and all the platforms should be connected with the data and also the endpoints, so that we'll be able to get the the interactions and also about the regional level details. So for that, like bringing the solution together will help us in terms of mitigating the climate change on the public health, right? So since we are concentrating on public health, so we need to like have the data collection on like facility location. What are the different health like health nodes or like health centers that we have, and road network, population, and climate change are hazards, and that has to be integrated together. Because if we just see data in silos, that we won't get any insights out of it. So that has to be like integrated together, and by having an integrated data, we can easily understand the implications of a natural disaster and how can we recover from it. So what are the flood prone areas or drought prone areas? Because of that flood prone areas, water prone areas, we'll be able to assess that the vulnerable social groups. So if we have like a more aged person in a particular group, sorry, in a particular location, and also that particular location is prone to forest fires or let's say flood, then the government must need to take the like changes in the plan, right? So these kind of planning of public health assessment and public health system improvement is needed. It is not just going ahead with two people are asking for a primary health center or three people are asking for a primary health center. It's not that. It should be based on multiple factors. It should be based on road network. It should be based on population and population characteristics. Are they migrant workers? Are they unorganized workers? Are they middle class people? Likewise, we need to have the study of the demographics and also the geographical nature of that particular area and the accessibility to that particular area. So to perform everything that climate analytics would need, first and foremost thing is a design in place, which means the use case, what are we going to solve for? Are we going to solve, are we going to mitigate flood related issues due to the climate change? Because all the climate change related issues will not be happen in one particular place. So we need to, and all of them will not be like making a big impact, right? We need to find out what is going to be creating a big impact on human life, and also what is the very complex one that needs to be figured out. Once we figured out that, we need to analyze various impact of it with the help of with the help of statistical tests, statistical analysis, right? To do that, we would need a platform in place. We would need business and subject matter experts in place. Then only we can do all sort of experiments and bringing the decisions out of the experiments. So to manage everything, we would need a center of excellence, which comprises of economists, which comprises of epidemiologist, which comprises of healthcare specialists. Otherwise, just with the data scientists or just with people, those who can code, is not at all going to be making sense, right? So far, we have discussed about climate change and its problem, and why do we need a climate analytics framework in place, and the importance and also the required blocks for it. It is not just going to be a Python code. When we talk about climate change and its impact measurement, it's going to be a group activity which will have a lot of government machineries in place, people from revenue department, people from healthcare, people from urban and rural development, and people from forest or environmental climate change. So likewise, everyone has to come together and they have to share their knowledge in a certain area, so that only we can design it. Let's say, for an example, if a study has confirmed that concrete roads or concrete floors are making that has already found out, but we know that concrete floors and concrete roads are actually causing the groundwater levels. Then we need to come up with a new idea or some design, experimentation design, so that we can test it out in a particular location and we can extend to the other locations. Let's say we can test it out in one taluk of Trichy district, and if it gets success, we can move to other neighboring districts to mitigate the problems. It can be let's say water contamination and pollution assessment, and how can we mitigate it, right? That we can do it in the delta regions, right? So for that, it's going to be private plus government partnership. Private will enable the bringing the solution to the place, and government will concentrate more on the implementation part, right? So into that, these are the so far we discussed about the climate related and how can we implement it, what is the need of analytics and what is the need of big data architecture in place, right? Let's get into how can we utilize deep learning in terms of like handling climate change in well. So climate change, in terms of climate change, there is a open project, worldwide project, which is called as Climate Net, which address a major and open challenge in bringing the power of deep learning to climate community. Which means like we have a lot of data sets in place, the satellite data set, which is actually like having the knowledge of what type of weather patterns can occur and what are the anomalies in that weather pattern. So when we have this type of data in place, because data collection itself is a big problem, right? When we have the collected data in place and that has been labeled and we have metadata for also, right? In that case, like we can also build a model, deep learning model, to understand the uncertain and also weird behaviors of like wind patterns and also weather patterns, right? So for that, we would be having a unified deep learning neural network on which we can train the data, so that once we have the trained model in place, with the help of satellite observations, we can have an inference, so that we'll be able to understand this particular location is facing pattern changes for the last 6 months. And by looking up it with the other data points, we'll be able to understand the relationship between the weather pattern change and the atmospheric change over there. Right here, we have the methodology to measure the impact of climate change on human health. Right. For that, this is actually like a published paper in a like a healthcare magazine, healthcare journal, where they have collected data from two different resources. One is climate change data, which is like based on temperature rise, seawater level rise, and emissions of methane, ethane, and uh, greenhouse gases. And through the government agencies, they have collected mortality related data, which is like they have collected the public death record. What are the causes of death, whether it is because of some chronic illness, or is it because of some acute illness, or what is the reason for it, whether it is because of air quality issue, or is it a waterborne disease, or is it a like a respiratory related problem. So those kind of data is being collected using a government agency. And when we have data on climate change and also on a particular regions, us United States data, so the same thing you can also explore, and you can get it around with the help of Tamil Nadu Health Department, or like our central health department, so that that data will be available through data.gov.in. You can search to get the mortality rate and causes for the death. But this is pretty clear. Once we have the data in place, we can perform the statistical analysis, so to understand the various drivers causing the like death. What are the what percentage of factors cause the death due to like diarrhea or waterborne disease, right? Once we have those analysis, we'll be able to build an artificial intelligence framework, which is actually able to train itself on the data and able to predict uh, possible epidemic or endemic issues based on the climate changes. If let's say if 2% of increase in carbon dioxide emission happens, what will be the problem? Can we see 2% or 3% increase in death due to the lungs related issues, or respiratory related issues? Or if we see like 4% increase in pH level in the water, what are the issues going to happen? Is it kidney issues, or is it going to be like colon cancer? Likewise, we can be able to understand it, right? So this methodology is going to be the constant. Only thing is the reliability of the data. If the data is coming from a particular government agency, you can be sure about that the data is having proper sample design, so that we can rely on it. Otherwise, we as in like as a data scientist need to sit with subject matter experts, epidemiologists, so that we need to design the experiment and need to collect the data from the location. So this is the So that is actually possible. When people, those who are doing thesis, they can take some time and they can get the help from epidemiologist and pathologist to understand the various diseases, various like climate changes, and they can design a sample and they can collect the data and assess the impact. So for an example, the data sources will be look like this, like a temperature related data set, which will be having average temperature, carbon emission related data from from the government agencies itself, that is open source only, and a few other data sets like related to the mortality and public health. How many cases are like registered? How many of the how many deaths happened? What are the severity? Those kind of things can be collected from the
Hello, Prabharan sir.
hello. So if you have any questions regarding utilization of analytics to like measure the impact of climate change, you can ask so that we can discuss. Or even if you have any questions from the first session, like morning session, you can ask. So any questions? So few project ideas. So there is a website called NH. One second. NH Office.
Hello, Prabharan sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sir, your screen not
Hello.
share.
So yes, sir. Now I'm not sharing now. So I have
Okay,
completed
sir.
that part. So I'm just like going ahead to share a screen related to some like the data sources where you can get health related data sets.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. So if you could see this website like National Family Health Survey, is it not visible?
Yeah, it's visible, sir.
Okay, cool. So these are the two websites I was referring to. One is National Center for Health Statistics, through which you can get the various disease or like health related data for a particular region, so that you'll be able to understand the relationship between disease and the climate change. So you can get climate change data. So from the World Bank data bank, so this is actually like a government agency, like worldwide. They are actually monitoring and having like a lot of data sets related to climate change. So you can get the data from here, and as well as the health related statistics from the NCHS data set, so that you'll be able to understand the death ratio or any sort of like new diseases or the implications on public health system. So those kind of analysis you can perform, and if you need, you can build a deep learning on top of that to understand it, or even to predict the future also. Like, since I have told you uh, climate change is a complex problem, which is going to be a probabilistic one, we would need more understanding on statistical data analysis and causal modeling, and also simulation of a public health system and climate change related stuff. So if you are into computational intelligence, you'll be able to learn it, because just with the machine learning we will not be able to achieve everything that we need. We would need other computational methodologies also. That is why in the morning I have shown that machine learning or deep learning is just a subset of artificial intelligence. Remaining part would require from the heuristics, system dynamics, simulation related studies. Yeah. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Respected faculties, please feel free to ask your question. This is a question session. Uh, so whatever question you have, so please feel free to ask the proper answer.
Okay. Otherwise, if you have any questions, and if you to LinkedIn or my mail ID, in the morning itself, I have posted in the chat box, so that you can connect with me through that, so that we'll be able to like discuss it offline also. Or if you want to discuss it now, you can ask.
Hello, sir. Am I audible? Sir, am I audible? Is Prabhakaran, sir?
Yeah. Yes, Prashant. Yeah.
Yes, myself,
Who's
Venkateshan
talking now?
from
Venkateshan, right?
yes, Venkateshan from
Yeah.
Panoriman Institute,
Yes, Venkateshan.
Satyamangalam. Sir, as you have addressed one real-time scenario
Yeah.
that you have faced, and that Pulal area was recently where due to some disaster was changed. It has been continuously monitored to take any remedial action.
That's
Is
not
there any
Pulal. That's not actually Pulal. That's not Pulal. That is
with this?
actually Pallikarnai.
Okay, fine, sir. I didn't notice the particular area, but the scenario you have addressed that I have listened. Is there anything implemented to monitor such kind of and real-time aspects? For example, in the summer seasons, due to the climate change, so many fishes
No,
will
no, no.
get
Since
dies.
that the problem is very new.
Okay,
Yeah, exactly. The problem is like that problem is pretty new to the system, and everyone is kind of like wondering why is it happening. So maybe few government agencies might start working on it. It's not like they have already started monitoring. They might start monitor. So this is very pretty new problem, like COVID. We don't know what is the what will be the implication. Will it increase the contamination in the water bodies, or will it affect the water life ecosystem? That we don't know, because someone needs to study that. some maybe like students can get the water samples, they can fit some sensors over there, they can start experimenting it, they can collect samples, they can do statistical testing to understand it better.
Okay, I have one more question as well. We having in dam barrages and so on so in the so many areas. So there also we should be water quality has to be monitored, right? So due to
Yeah,
some summer season, some fishings will happen. So many fishes will die. Is there
yeah,
any?
yeah, that government has.
Yes,
Yeah, okay,
government
sir.
has to do. Is there any student project or any innovative ideas? Is there to give it as a student project to monitor the inner water livings? There
Yeah,
is
you
some
guys can
issues.
exactly. So if you you can opt for AICT or DPT sanctioned project, saying that like we are planning to monitor our local water body. Let's say like nearby Kottayam itself, like you can see a lot of water canals and a barrage is there, right? So you can for that you need to design some the experiment, and you have to come up with the SOP saying that this is what we are going to do, and you can ask for the help from the local bodies and also the DPT to sanction the amount, like a financially support your project, because it is not going to be like one sensors or two sensor. You need to have manpower to collect multiple. First, you need to procure required analytics instruments, which means sensors, some lab setup. You need to get it to measure the various minerals and chemical components in that particular water body, and you have to design the sample saying that in that particular water body you are collecting the data sample from the
Yes, sir. Yes,
multiple
sir.
places. It is not
Yes, sir.
one particular place, multiple
Yes, sir.
places, and
Yeah.
we are collecting sample from the consumption area also. And if you hmm.
Actually, my question has been conveyed in a
Yeah, for
different.
that to implement it, two
Yes,
things is needed.
my
One is support from your local body, and another one is some monetary support from your management. Yeah. So
yes,
what is your
my
question?
question, yeah, my question has been conveyed in a different manner. I'm not asking about that, testing the water minerals which are there in the those places. My question is that underwater living organs, like fishes, some other things. In further, we having an in an wildlife, we having an deep learning system to monitor the animals. So similarly, is there any other progress or any other research idea is there to monitor the underwater living organs? Mainly, we need to monitor the fish health monitoring of fishes.
Yeah, yeah. So actually, aquatic animals. So actually, a few organizations have taken a step, as in like research institutes have taken a step to monitor turtles' movement and their behavior in the ocean. The same way you can do it, but the only thing is that I am trying to convey is when you address something, there should be a problem. Let's say in your village, or if you have any lake, you no need to do any sort of like deep learning things over there, right? But what you need to concentrate on is the animals, those who are at the danger, like turtles or seagulls or like what's that, like ocean lion, or kind of those kind of endangered animals needs to be monitored. And many of foreign universities are actually doing that with the help of IoT plus like computer vision. So addressing a problem should be like solving at least a few of issues that is being faced by that particular locality. If no one is facing anything, it's like waste of time to actually like having like a deep learning setup for a small lake which has very like small like organs. Think it in a better way, saying that because two things are there, like by monitoring the water quality you can ensure that the consuming water is actually good, and you can ensure the public health over there. But just by just to monitor the fishes inside the lake, it won't convey anything. But if you monitor the behavior, or if you monitor the existence of the turtles or any sort of like endangered animals in the ocean, that will create a big impact. And many organizations are doing it in the large scale.
Fine, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other faculties, please
Yeah.
raise your questions. Hello. And Auladan is going for an end. Next. Okay, sir. 3:45 then, sir.
Yeah.
No questions.
Is there
Yeah.
any other questions? Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Thanks for joining. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me for sure.